Yo, what's up YouTube? Hope you had a great day. I farmed around 250 divines the last couple days and I had a blast doing it, so I decided to make a video of my strat and teach you everything there is to know about Enchanted Map farming. In this video I'm gonna tell you which variations there are, how to do them, how to min-max them, and of course how profitable they are. This is also my first video and I'm a bit nervous, so please excuse any weird noises I might make. Now let's get started. First and foremost, and most likely the main reason why you are here, yes, it is very profitable. You can earn between 6 to 15 divines an hour, but it depends on the market, how fast your build is, and also your proc luck on your enchanted maps. With my last run I made 9 divines an hour, including the time to buy and sell. Now, what is enchanted map farming? In your harvest crafting bench, you can enchant your maps to have a 50% chance to not consume sexton charges. It costs 2.5k yellow harvest juice, which is around 80c at current prices, and you only have a chance to not consume charges. So the idea is to stack high value sextons in hopes of not consuming them and thus earning a lot more currency than you've put in. By far the best sexton to use in this strategy is the one that lets you drop Winged Scarabs from the first 3 possessed mobs you kill in a map. You combine this with the Conqueror map sextant for more consistent map returns, and 2 harvest sextants which sustain your cost and the enchants. The math on this is pretty straightforward. One sextant gives 16 charges, and whenever you've put in an enchanted map, you have a 50% chance not to consume charges, which means you double your charges. You can expect to run 32 maps on average for each sexton run. I did this strat last league as well, so I have a very large sample size on this, and the worst run I've ever had was 24 maps out of my 16 charges, and the best was 44 runs. But it will average out to 32 maps if you run this strat long enough. It's a very easy strat to run, with the only hurdle being the investment cost. Any build that is capable of clearing fully juiced T16 harvests can run the strat. However, since this is kinda a boss rushing strategy, we want to be fast and not die. But again, it's absolutely not mandatory and any build can run this. It requires an investment of around 25 divines to start with strat, and you can't do the league start because people aren't buying Winged Scarabs that early. But it's a very nice strat for mid-game builds about 1 to 2 weeks after league launch. It's also very light on the trading part, as you only buy 4 sextants every 32 maps, bulk amounts of random polished scarabs, and harvest juice, which you can also easily buy in bulk. Selling your farm stuff is also pretty easy and quick, because you are gonna roll your scarabs with your harvest crafting bench into 5 different scarabs, and only sell these 5. The Conqueror maps can be sold in bulk on TFT to the first one who also want to buy post-up. It takes 3 mins tops to price and sell everything, and wings are mostly being bought in bulk a lot as well. There is 3, maybe 4 variations to this strategy. First one is the Eater or exact version, and it's basically the standard version. It's the safest of the 3 because you're reliably self-sustaining your harvest juice and sometimes luck into a duplicated map or scarab. The second is the Maven Witness version, where you trade a little bit of currency for time investment. And the third is the Wandering Path version. Also, crop rotation is viable in the non-wandering path versions as well, if you're interested in that. I will briefly talk about crop rotation later in this video too. All 3 variations have different strengths and weaknesses, but are very similar in currency gain. It's just your playstyle and what you sell and buy that changes depending on which version you run. Personally, the most fun I've had was with Maven Witness and crop rotation. However, it's likely not the best, but my sample size is a bit too low. I'm also currently trying out another version where I'm combining enchanted Conqueror maps with Elder Slayer invitations. It seems to be pretty promising from the first run I did, but my build can't handle it very well, so I'm still bricking a couple maps, and that hurts a lot for my data. Once I upgraded a bit of my gear, and if it turns out to be insane, I'll make another video. The first and most likely the best version is the Eater or exact version. They give consistent returns via altars and let you fully self-sustain your enchants, whereas with the Maven version you only sustain about 80%. Lastly, GGG balanced the amount of Quant altars you get from exact, so it really isn't that much of a difference nowadays. You can pick whatever you like. The altars you want to pick for Eater are Quant altars, which boost your harvest by about 10% for each altar you take, Map duplication altars are very nice if you haven't killed the map boss yet. Div card duplications are nice if you farm maps with good cards like Fortunate or even an Apothecary. Scarab duplication is very nice if you can get it before you've dropped a Winged Scarab, but unfortunately in practice that just doesn't happen often. Like 1 out of 88 Scarabs was duplicated in my last run. And of course, div altars. For Exarch, it's basically just Quant and any good bubblegum currency altars. The playstyle is pretty simple. Clear your map, make sure to let your ghost possess rares in case Science doesn't proc on enough rares, click your altars, kill the boss and clear your harvest. Sometimes the altars are juicing up the harvest mobs a lot, so make sure that your build can actually handle it. This is a speed farming strat. You can finish your map in approximately 2 minutes, if you don't die and can handle juice up harvest well. Bricking your map hurts a lot. Totally didn't happen to me. The second variation is the Maven Witness version. With the addition of a new Maven Keystone destructive play, it is actually pretty viable to skip on Eater or Exarch altars and go with Maven Witness. The reason being that Maven Witness lets you clear your maps a lot faster due to not having to full clear your map. You just go in, kill your free possessed rares, go into harvest and kill the bosses. Also, the loot is pretty reasonable. I have tested about 120 maps with the Maven Keystone, and once you understand how it works, you get pretty consistent currency in form of extra Elder or Shaper or synthesized maps. Maven shards from the indentation itself, and sometimes, but very rarely, you get Awakened Gems too. I got, I think, 2 Awakened Gems when I ran these in 120 maps, but unfortunately both were Awakened Fire Penetration, which is like 20 C. I'm not including these, by the way. It's the same as the Divine Altars from Eater. It's super nice if you can luck into it, but for the purpose of doing a currency guide, I don't think I should include them. The Keystone gives Maven the ability to spawn additional map bosses. That means you actually have to wait until she uses that ability. If you just tag the boss and one-shot him, you're gonna lose out on the extra bosses and their rewards. But to be fair, in about 90% of all encounters, it's the first spell she casts, so it's like wait 2 to 3 seconds and go. The third variation is a Wandering Path version, where you try to scale your map rewards with the double duplication nodes on the tree. The drawback is you will get less Harvest Life Force and less extra Shaper, Elder and Synthesized maps, but you will substantially increase your Conqueror maps and all other map rewards because it synergizes very well with the map duplication altar from Eater. Personally, I haven't tried this variation yet because you have to force possessed mobs on city square maps or with scarabs, and I can't be bothered to roll for a single mod on a map or lose out on growing hordes pack size. Unless I misunderstood, then forget what I just said. Point is, I have no experience with this strat and can't give you any kind of valuable information. However, there are guides from last league on YouTube with the Wandering Path variant. You can check them out. This is the skill tree for the Eater variant. I included all skill trees in my spreadsheet linked under this video as well. As you can see, it's pretty straightforward. Take all Harvest notables, Elder, Shaper, Conqueror and Synthesized map drops, Growing Hordes, take Science, and I recommend taking Paranormal Meeting as well so you can force possessed mobs more frequently. Science reads up to 5 rares. Sometimes you only get 1 or 2 possessed rares, so having the extra ghost is helping out with getting your 3rd scarab. Growing Hordes is mandatory for pack size to make your harvest juice sustainable, even more so after losing the Fortune Favors the Brave pack size node on our tree. Note that if you do the Maven variant, you won't fully sustain your juice. You will get around 1.5 to 2k on average without any quant altars. The rest is preference. You don't need to block league mechanics, you just ignore them in your maps, and sometimes they are pretty nice to add more rares. Put the rest of your points into map duplication nodes. You can get up to 18.5% map duplication on your tree without Wandering Path. You could take Daily Mirror as well if you wanted to, or block some harvest colors. It's really up to your playstyle and preference. I've also tested crop rotation in about 90 maps, and I'm very confident in understanding how it works. I'll briefly explain. Crop rotation degrades all your harvest plots to the lowest level, but lets you upgrade with plots of different colors. Basically, you pick a purple T1 plot, and most of your yellow and blue plots should have upgraded to tier 2 units. This is not guaranteed though, but very likely. The idea is to funnel all upgrades into 1 or 2 big plots. It synergizes really well with the Heart of a Growth notable that sometimes lets your unchosen crop not to wield. I had 2 maps in which I managed to spawn 2 bosses in one plot. Now, I wasn't fortunate enough, but imagine your pack size procs on both bosses, which duplicates them, and also your life force duplication procs on all of them. You can probably get like 15 to 20k harvest juice out of a single harvest if everything procs and you win the slot machine. However, that's exactly what it is, a big slot machine. There's runs you will oversustain immensely, and there's runs you will undersustain. I think my sample size is a bit too low to accurately tell you if crop rotation is better than no crop rotation, because there's so many procs and factors at play, but my feeling is that it's slightly worse than without. It also requires you to think. You can't just blindly pick whatever crop as the most T2 mobs. You have to decide based on upgrade procs and colors which crops to pick and when. But it's so much more fun than without. After doing at least 500 harvests last league, it's so refreshing to me. Anyway, you can play it if you want to. You trade a little bit of currency for a lot more fun in my opinion. Pick whatever is more important to you at this moment. Now, let's get to the setup. I've included all trade links in the spreadsheet down below, so yeah, just go ahead and click the links and you get what you need. The map of choice is whatever you prefer, but I recommend boss rushable maps like Dunes, Cemetery, Strat, and City Square. Dunes has the added bonus that it has a very nice div card as well. For sextants, we use 16U sextants just to make it easier for trading, and I'm also pretty lazy, so yeah, 16U sextants. You take the Winged Scarab sextant, you take the Conqueror map, Sacred Grove, and double yellow juice sextant. For scarabs, we use any random polished scarabs because we are just boosting our pack size with growing hordes. For the master missions, you can take Nico if you have scaled packed with energy, but that's not required, it's just a preference thing. If you want to do it, pick Nico and done. For the map device, if you have skilled shrines, you want to pick Domination just to get more shrines on your map and to make it faster. It's pretty nice, it doesn't cost much, it's, yeah, free chaos is basically nothing in a strat like this, so yeah, just pick shrines, it's pretty good. And most importantly, enchant your maps before putting them in. Every single map you don't enchant costs you a charge, which is a lot of currency you lose out on. With crop rotation, you buy a different color than yellow, by the way, because you want to have 3 different rarities of life force. And how it works is you use the sextant, for example, purple, you block on, or you reduce the chance for the blue plots on your atlas tree, and you don't do anything with the yellow one. This way you can, this is the best way to boost the yellow life force, basically. Don't forget to chisel your maps and roll them for around 80% plus quant. You can run any map mods your build is comfortable with, and value your maps if you can run every single map mod there is. Let's get to the most important part, the loot. Earlier we have established that you get 32 maps on average for each sextant run, but what if you're the unluckiest gamer alive and can't get any procs? Are you going to be in the negative? If you only count guaranteed drops like your free scarabs and your Conqueror map, then you will get around 250 chaos for every map you complete. That means with the current prices of sextants you will be slightly in the red at 16 maps. However, as soon as you are at your 20th map, you will start making profit. 250 chaos without any other drops, then your free guaranteed scarabs and your Conqueror map. That excludes your map duplications, your Elder, Shaper and extra Conqueror maps, your random drops and the invitations you are generating. My spreadsheet will calculate how many maps you have to run to be profitable depending on the market situation. Make a copy of a sheet so you can edit it and put in values if I don't manage to update it. Now, let's look at what you can expect for an average run with 32 maps. A total profit of 17 divines without any extra drops or bubblegum currency. 17 divines in scarabs and Conqueror maps. If you need 3 minutes on average to complete a map, that's around 1.5 hours to complete it. Plus, let's be generous and add another like 30 minutes for trading, which by the way you won't need, and we are at around 8 divines an hour. My current build is a bit slower because I haven't upgraded anything in the last couple of days and Tornado Shot just falls over at the slightest reaction if you pick one or does. But last league I played a Frostblade Trickster and I averaged 1.5 minutes per map. I completed my whole run in an hour. You can see how fast this scales with speed. I included another example of my latest run with 35 maps. As you can see, this time I included the random drops. I ran Excellence and it counted something like 7 divines, but I'm not going to sell everything, so I went with 5. I made 23.04 divines profit in about 3 hours, which comes down to slightly under 8 divines an hour. In that run I lost out on 6 scarabs as well, because I killed the ghost before possessing rares and Seance didn't proc enough, so potentially, if I did it right, I could have gotten another 2 divines in profit. Yesterday, by the way, I had a run with 42 maps. I didn't run Excellence, but it probably made like 32, 33 divines in profit with that run. Rolling your scarabs. Last league, I watched a couple of guides for Enchanted Map farming, but no one mentioned that you should 100% reroll your scarabs with the Harvest crafting bench. This will increase profit by around 20% for barely 5 minutes of work. There's 5 scarabs that will be bought very quickly, and those are Divination, Reliquary, Ambush, Abyss, and this league, Torment Scarabs. You can price every single scarab at 0.33 divines, and they will be bought, especially if you have bulk. Keep in mind, depending when you're watching this video, that the prices might have changed. Better check. The reason you should roll your scarab is because the others won't be bought that quickly or for bulk prices, and it barely costs you like 1 divine and red harvest life force to reroll your whole tab after a farming session. I usually farm 2 whole sets before I liquidate to make this process even faster. Selling your stuff is easy. You count your Conqueror maps, go to TFT, and sell your maps to the first one to buy post that you can see. You can price them yourself as well, and you will most likely get a bit more currency, but in my opinion that's not really worth the time investment. You price your 5 scarabs for whatever is currently the going rate and enjoy the currency coming in. That's it, not much else to price or sell. You could sell Eldritch currency or your occasional Shaper Elder or synthesized map drop, but I'm usually waiting until I have a larger amount before selling so I don't waste time with 20 chaos trades. That's it. I hope I explained everything there is about Enchanted Map farming. Let me know how your runs went, and then I'm happy to hear any feedback you might have. Just keep in mind, this is my first time, so please be gentle. In about 90% of all encounters, it's the first spell she casts, so you get 32 maps on average for each second run. But what now to the setup? Now to the setup and what you have to buy. My spreadsheet includes everything you have to buy. I've attached trade links to everything you have to buy. You have to buy. But what the market, how fast you build this, also your proc. Fuck! 10% of all encounters is the first spell. Schon wieder. You want to be fast and not die. Oh fuck.